If you're looking at a movement and it's not running, but you're wondering, could it run if I just cleaned it? I'll show you a few things that you can look at to see if it's in good shape. The first thing you want to check to make sure that the balance is in good shape. If you take anything and just touch it and very lightly pull up on it and push down on it, you can see there's no movement up or down. That means that the staff, or the real little thin portion at the top and the bottom, are in good shape. I'll show you an example. This watch here has a broken staff on it, and watch what happens when I lift up on it. You can see this whole thing just jumps around. It doesn't stay contained to anything. So this staff here, either this one or up on the other side, is completely broken. And you can see it doesn't feel tight at all. If the staff is in good shape, which this one is, that's a really good sign that you're going to at least have a movement that you can work with. The next thing, which you really want to be careful, is in the center from here to around the middle of the balance wheel is a hairspring, and you do not want to touch it. You don't want to go anywhere near this, because if you damage or tangle up the hairspring, it's kind of like game over or a lot more work. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a little air on the balance wheel and just see, does it spin freely? And this one is spinning pretty nice, and it doesn't have a broken staff. These are really good things. And because it goes back and forth, that's the hairspring that's in good shape, taking it back and forth. One thing you're going to notice is that the balance wheel moves fine, and the pallet forks deep in there are moving back and forth, but the escapement is not moving. Here's a close-up view so we can see that the balance wheel works. The pallet forks are moving back and forth, but the escapement, no matter what we do, you can see it going back and forth, but it's not moving in one direction all the way around like it should. Chances are there's a little bit of dirt in all of these little pivots, so when it gets all the way down to the escapement, it doesn't have the power to move back and forth. Watch what happens if I go to one of the train wheels and I just give it a little bit of a push. You can see the watch just starts right up, because it's got enough power if I'm giving a little push, but when I release, it's not going to have enough power to keep going. And you can see in this case, the escapement is working. It's just dirty and doesn't have the ability to keep it running because of the dirt. I could take the entire watch apart and clean all the pivots, which is a great thing to do, but it's also a risk that I might break it. To clean it at this point, I'm going to put it into a little bit of paint thinner. I can try giving a little bit of a push, but it's probably just going to need to soak for a couple days. When you're cleaning a movement like this, you might want to use something like rubbing alcohol, but don't do it. There's a very delicate piece called a pallet fork, and on the ends of this, or inset, are stones with shellac. The rubbing alcohol will break down the shellac, the stones will fall out, and then you've got a real problem. And I'd say the other thing you want to make sure is that you're not working on some family heirloom. You just want to pick these watches up for a cheap price as you're learning how to do this. The movement right next to it, the silver one, was in the same condition. It would not work and it was so dirty, but now you can see that it's moving on its own power. Right now it'll run for about 10 minutes and stop, and I have to restart it, but I want to just keep this in the fluid, cleaning out as much dirt as I can possibly get out of it this way. With the day of soaking, everything's working again. Just a couple thoughts or ideas on how to see if a watch will run or not.